Welcome back to my Auntie Rose Narrates channel, where I share touching real-life stories every single day. If you love stories that move your heart, hit subscribe and give this video a like. Let's jump right into today's story. I never expected Mother's Day to feel this empty. I woke up early, excited to see my children Emily and Daniel, just like they promised. I made pancakes, set the table, even added a small plate for my grandson, Oliver. The house smelled like coffee and fresh fruit, warm and welcoming. I imagined their laughter, their hugs, the joy of being together. But 11 o'clock came and went. Noon passed, and still no one showed. My phone stayed silent. I waited, I hoped. I tried to tell myself they were just running late. But the quiet in my home grew heavier with every tick of the clock. I sat in the living room, alone, letting the tears fall, because no one was there to see Dot then. Just when the day seemed over, they arrived. I opened the door, heart lifted, only to realize they weren't here for me. They were here to ask for money. The very children I had given everything to, expecting nothing, came to take yet again. What they didn't know was that I had already made a choice. Weeks ago, I had bought a one-way ticket, a ticket to leave, and that decision changed everything, Dot. This is the story of family, betrayal, and the quiet courage it takes to finally choose yourself. Stay with me, because what happens next will change everything you think you know about love, Dot. My name is Margaret Wilson, and I'm 68 years old. I am a mother of two, a grandmother of one, and on that Mother's Day morning, I believed my children were coming over for brunch, just like they promised. I woke up that morning before the sun, the way I always did when something mattered to me. The house was still dark and the air felt soft, like it does right before a memory is made. I lay there for a few seconds, listening. No footsteps, no voices. Just the gentle hum of the refrigerator down the hall and the slow ticking of the clock on my bedside table. I remember thinking, this is fine. They'll be here soon. The day before, I had called both of them, not to pressure them, not to guilt them, just to make sure. Of course we're coming, Mom, my daughter Emily had said. Her voice was warm, familiar. I wouldn't miss it. My son Daniel had laughed softly on the phone. Yeah, Mom, relax, we'll be there. Around 11, I trusted them. I always had Dot, so that morning, I got out of bed slowly, careful not to rush my old knees, and pulled on my soft blue sweater. The one Emily once said made my eyes look brighter. I brushed my hair and pinned it back the way I used to when they were little, and I wanted to look put together. Even if I felt tired, Dot, in the kitchen, I started early. I set the table for 4, then paused, then added one more place for my grandson Oliver, just in case. The plates were white with tiny blue flowers around the edges. Nothing fancy, just familiar. I laid out the cloth napkins I only used on special days. I warmed the oven. I cracked eggs into a bowl and stirred them gently, like my own mother had taught me, Dot, as I cooked. I kept glancing at the clock, Dot. It was only 9. Plenty of time. I put on a pot of coffee and let the smell fill the room. It wrapped around me like comfort. I told myself this was what happiness looked like now. Quiet preparation. No chaos, no noise. Just waiting, Dot. Waiting has always been something I was good at. I raised my children mostly on my own after their father, Robert, passed away so suddenly. One moment he was there, whistling while fixing the fence, and the next moment he was gone. A heart attack. No warning. Just silence where a voice used to be. After that, my life became about holding things together. I worked long hours as a receptionist at a small dental office. Nothing glamorous, but it paid the bills. I packed lunches. I checked homework. I stayed up late sewing buttons back onto coats and making sure there was always food in the fridge. I missed dances. I miss dinners with friends. I miss sleep, but I never miss my children, Dot. So standing in that kitchen on Mother's Day, flipping pancakes slowly so they wouldn't burn, I felt proud. Tired, yes, but proud. I had done something right. They were grown now, busy, living their lives. And they were coming back to sit at my table, Dot, at least. That's what I believed, Dot. By 10:30, everything was ready. The eggs were kept warm. The pancakes were stacked neatly under a clean towel. The fruit was sliced and shining. I poured myself a small cup of coffee and sat at the table, hands folded in my lap. Dot, I imagined the door opening. Emily's laugh first. Daniel behind her. Oliver running in, she was still on, calling my name. I smiled at the thought. 11 o'clock came, and went. Dot at 11:15. I checked my phone. Dot, no messages. Dot, no missed calls. I told myself not to worry. Traffic happens. Children run late. Life is busy. Dot, by 11:30, the coffee had gone cold. I stood up and reheated it, trying not to feel foolish. I straightened the napkins, even though they were already straight. I wiped a counter that was already clean. Anything to stay moving. Anything to avoid sitting down and letting the quiet settle too deeply. Dot, at noon. I sat on the couch in the living room. The television was off. The sunlight came through the window and fell across the empty cushions where my children used to sprawl when they were teenagers. I held my phone in both hands now, staring at the screen. I did not want to be the kind of mother who complains. I did not want to sound needy. I did not want to remind them that today was supposed to be mine. Dot, so I waited. 1 o'clock passed, then 2. The food stayed untouched. The house stayed silent. The clock kept ticking, loud and patient, like it had all the time in the world. Dot, sometime in the afternoon, I felt the tears come. Not all at once, slowly, like a leak in the roof you don't notice until the floor is already wet. I cried there in the living room, quietly, carefully. The way you cry when you don't want to disturb anyone. Even though no one is there, I kept telling myself they would call any minute now, but the call never came. Dot, by evening, the sun began to dip low, painting the walls in soft orange light. I was still sitting in the same spot, my sweater folded neatly beside me, my heart heavy with questions I didn't want to ask. Dot, that was when I heard a car pull into the driveway. Dot, my heart lifted before my mind could stop it. Headlights flashed through the window. Doors opened. Voices outside. I stood up, smoothing my clothes, practicing a calm smile. They were finally here. I had no idea that what they'd call me, were about to ask me that night, would change. Everything I thought I knew about my children and about myself. They certainly had no idea that while I had been waiting all day, I had already made a decision they would never expect. They came in through the front door like nothing had happened. I heard the familiar click of the lock, the soft thud of shoes being kicked off near the wall. Their voices drifted into the hallway before I saw their faces. They sounded relaxed, almost cheerful, as if the day had unfolded exactly as planned. Mom? Daniel called out. You home? I stood there in the living room, one hand resting on the back of the couch. For a moment, I couldn't bring myself to answer. My throat felt tight, like it sometimes did when I had been holding in words for too long. Yes, I said finally. I'm here. Emily appeared first. She looked tired but put together, her hair pulled back neatly, her purse already sliding off her shoulder as she walked in. Daniel followed behind her, his jacket half unzipped, his phone still in his hand. He was smiling at something on the screen. They didn't look at the table. They didn't look at the kitchen. They didn't look at me. Sorry we're late, Emily said casually. The day just got away from us. I nodded, slowly, carefully. It's fine, I said. And I meant it in the way mothers often do. Not because it was fine, But because I didn't want to make it heavier than it already felt, Daniel finally looked up from his phone and met my eyes. For just a second, then he looked away again. Long day, he said. You know how it is. I did know how it was. I had known for decades. We stood there awkwardly, the three of us, like strangers unsure of where to sit. Emily glanced toward the kitchen, then back at me. You didn't eat yet, did you? She asked. I shook my head. I waited. There was a pause then. A small one. But I felt it. Oh, she said. Well, we actually already ate. Daniel cleared his throat. Yeah, we were at a friend's place. They had something planned. It kind of turned into a thing. A thing. I smiled because that was easier than asking why they hadn't sent a message. Easier than asking why a thing with friends mattered more than a promise made to their mother the day before. I can heat something up, I said. If you're still hungry later. Emily waved her hand gently. No, Mom, really, we're fine. They sat down on the couch across from me, both of them leaning forward slightly, elbows on their knees. That posture, I recognized it. It was the posture they used when they wanted to say something difficult without saying it directly. I waited. Daniel spoke first. Mom, he said, rubbing his hands together. We didn't come by earlier because, well, we've been a little stressed. Emily nodded quickly. Yeah, things have been tight. I stayed quiet. I had learned long ago that silence often made people say more. Daniel sighed. Bills, rent, Oliver's daycare. It's just been piling up. I felt something shift in my chest. Not surprise. Not really. Just a familiar heaviness. This was not the first time this conversation had found its way into my living room. Emily finally looked at me then. Really looked at me? We were hoping, she said slowly, choosing her words, that maybe you could help us out. Just this once. There it was. Not a happy Mother's Day. Not an apology. Not even a question about how my day had been. Just a quiet request, placed gently on the table like it was already expected. How much? I asked. Daniel glanced at Emily, then back at me. A couple thousand. We'll pay you back. You know we will. I nodded again. That same slow nod. My hands rested in my lap, folded neatly together. In my mind, images flickered past. Emily at 8 years old, standing on a chair to help me stir soup. Daniel at 12, pretending not to cry when he scraped his knee. Late nights counting bills at the kitchen table, deciding which ones could wait. I had always found a way. I'll think about it, I said softly. They both relaxed a little at that. Just a little, like people do when they assume the answer is already yes. Thanks, Mom, Emily said quickly. We really appreciate it. Daniel smiled. You always come through. That sentence stayed with me long after they left, because that night, after they hugged me goodbye and promised to do brunch properly next weekend, I stood alone in my kitchen and looked at the untouched food. The pancakes had gone cold. The eggs sat dry and forgotten. I wrapped everything carefully and placed it in the refrigerator. Even though I knew I wouldn't eat it, then I went to my bedroom, sat on the edge of my bed, and opened the small drawer in my nightstand. Inside was an envelope, thin, plain, easy to miss if you weren't looking. For it, I pulled it out and held it in my hands. Inside was my one-way ticket I had bought it weeks ago, quietly, without telling anyone. Not Emily, not Daniel, not even my closest neighbor. At the time, I wasn't sure why I had done it. I only knew I felt tired. Tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. I lay back on the bed and stared at the ceiling. I thought about how my children saw me now. Not as a person with feelings and limits, but as a safety net, a solution, a place to land when life got uncomfortable. I wondered when that had happened. Sometime in the middle of the night, My phone buzzed, a message from Emily. "Thank you again for tonight, Mom. We'll talk soon. Love you." I turned the phone face down and closed my eyes. The next morning, I woke up with a strange sense of calm. The house felt different, quieter somehow, like it was waiting for something to happen. I made myself a simple breakfast and sat at the table alone. I didn't rush. I didn't check the clock. For the first time in a long while, I let myself sit with my thoughts. By midday, the phone rang again. It was Daniel. "Hey, Mom," he said. "About that money?" I listened to him speak, his words blending together. Explanations and assurances all sounding the same. And as he talked, my eyes drifted to the envelope on the table. Beside me, the one he didn't know about, the one that meant I wouldn't be here much longer to answer these calls. I didn't interrupt him. I didn't argue. I just listened because I knew something they didn't yet understand. Soon, very soon, I was going to stop being the place they landed and start being the place they wondered why they lost. Asterisk, I did not tell Daniel about the ticket. Not that day. Not the next. Not even when he kept talking, his voice filled with worry and hope all mixed together. "I'll pay you back," he said again. "I promise. Things will get better soon." I believed that he believed it. "I understand," I said quietly. "Let me see what I can do." After we hung up, I sat there for a long time with the phone resting in my lap. The kitchen was still. Sunlight fell across the table where my children used to do their homework. I could almost hear their younger voices again, asking for help, asking for answers, asking me to fix things. I had always fixed things. That afternoon, I walked to the bank. I did not rush. I took my time. The air outside was warm, and the sky was clear in that way that makes you think life is simple, even when it is not. People passed me on the sidewalk, laughing, talking, heading somewhere together. Inside the bank, the woman behind the counter smiled politely. "Good afternoon," she said. "How can I help you today?" I asked about my savings. The small account I had been building slowly for years. The one I told myself was for emergencies, or maybe for rest, or maybe for something I hadn't dared to name yet. She told me the number. It was not large, but it was enough. As I signed the papers, my hand shook slightly. Not from fear, from recognition. I knew this feeling. I have felt it many times before. This was the feeling of choosing my children over myself. Again. That evening, Emily came by alone. She brought Oliver with her. He ran into the house ahead of her, his little shoes squeaking on the floor. "Grandma," he called out, wrapping his arms around my legs. I bent down slowly and hugged him back. His hair smelled like shampoo and sunshine. For a moment, my chest ached with something close to joy. Emily watched us from the doorway. "You're a lifesaver, Mom," she said once Oliver had settled in front of the television. "Daniel told me you're helping us?" I nodded. "I always do." She laughed softly, not unkindly. "That's why we're so lucky to have you." Lucky. She sat at the kitchen table and talked while I made tea. She talked about work, about Oliver's school, about how tired she felt. I listened. I always listened, but something inside me was changing. As she spoke, I realized she hadn't once asked how I was doing. Not after Mother's Day, not after everything. "So," she said finally, stirring her tea, "you're okay, right? With all this?" I looked at her then. Really looked at her. She was my daughter. She carried my eyes, my smile, my stubbornness. I loved her more than words could say. "Yes," I said. "I'm okay." That night, after they left, I went into my bedroom and opened the drawer again. I took out the envelope and slid the ticket onto the bed. One-way, no return date. I traced the printed letters with my finger, I thought about my life, how it had been measured in what I gave, what I sacrificed, what I postponed. I thought about all the times I told myself, one day it will be my turn. I folded the ticket back into the envelope and placed it somewhere new, somewhere visible. The next few weeks passed slowly. Daniel called often. Emily sent messages. They talked about money, plans, stress. I sent the check. They thanked me. Life went on, but something felt different now. I stopped volunteering answers. I stopped offering help before it was asked. I started spending more time alone. I cleaned out closets. I sorted old photographs. I donated clothes I hadn't worn in years. Each small act felt like a quiet goodbye. One afternoon, Emily noticed. "You've been distant," she said on the phone. "Are you upset with us?" I paused before answering. "No," I said. "I'm just tired." She sighed. "We're all tired, Mom." Yes, I thought. We are, but only one of us had spent a lifetime putting everyone else first. The night before my departure, I sat in the living room with the lights off. Rain tapped softly against the windows. I held my phone, scrolling through old pictures of my children when they were small. I wondered if they would understand. I wondered if they would even notice. Right away, my phone buzzed again. A message from Daniel. "Mom, we might need a little more help next month. We'll talk soon." I closed my eyes. That was when I realized something that hurt more than I expected. They did not see me as someone who could leave. They saw me as something permanent, fixed, unchanging, always there. They had no idea that soon this house would be empty, that the chair at the table would stay pushed in, that the silence they left me with would finally belong to them. I stood up and went to my bedroom. I packed the last few things carefully. I placed the envelope on top of my suitcase. Tomorrow, I would walk out that door, and they would not be ready for what they were about to lose. I did not sleep much that night, not because I was afraid, not because I was unsure, but because my mind was full of memories that came and went like quiet visitors. I lay in bed listening to the rain fade into silence. Every sound in the house felt familiar. The soft creak of the hallway floor, the low hum of the heater turning on and off. These were the sounds of a life I had built slowly, carefully, over many years. Just before dawn, I got up. I dressed simply. Comfortable shoes, a light coat. I stood in front of the mirror for a moment and looked at myself. My hair had gone mostly gray now. Fine lines traced the corners of my eyes. I looked older than I felt, but calmer too. I whispered goodbye to the woman in the mirror. In the kitchen, I made one last cup of coffee. I didn't rush. I sat at the table and wrapped my hands around the warm mug. Outside, the sky was just beginning to lighten. A soft blue like the start of a new page. I left a note on the counter, not long. Not angry, just honest. I love you both. I need time for myself. I will be safe. Please don't worry. I did not explain. I did not defend. I did not ask for permission. I closed the door behind me quietly. At the airport, everything moved quickly and slowly at the same time. People hurried past me, dragging bags, checking phones, heading somewhere important. I followed the signs, my suitcase rolling behind me, my heart beating steadily. As I waited at the gate, my phone buzzed. Emily. Double quotes. Mom, are you home? Daniel just tried calling. I stared at the screen, then another message. Mom. Then a call. I let it ring. I boarded the plane without looking back. When the plane lifted off the ground, I felt something loosen inside my chest. Not happiness, not relief. Something quieted up freedom. Hours later, when I landed, my phone was filled with messages. Missed calls, voicemails, worry slipping into panic. Mom, where are you? Please call us. This isn't funny. We're scared. I listened to them all. One by one, only then did I send a message. I'm okay. I needed space. I will talk when I'm ready. I turned my phone off after that. Thought the place I had come to was small, quiet, a coastal town where no one knew me. I rented a modest room near the water. I spent my days walking slowly, breathing deeply, letting the noise inside me settle. For the first time in years, no one needed anything from me. No calls about money. No expectations. No guilt wrapped in love. Just me. Back home, they were unraveling. I didn't know that yet. But I would soon. A week later, I turned my phone back on. There were fewer messages now. Longer ones. Softer ones. Emily wrote about Oliver asking for me. Daniel wrote about missing our Sunday calls. They asked if they had done something wrong. Waited another day before replying. Then I called them. We spoke quietly, carefully. I didn't mean to hurt you. Emily said through tears. We didn't realize. I know, I said. And I did know. That was the hardest part. We just assumed you'd always be there, Daniel admitted. I closed my eyes. I said. I always was. There was a long silence on the line. I did not tell them when I was coming back because I wasn't sure yet. I needed them to feel the empty space I had lived in for so long. Needed them to sit with the quiet, and most of all, I needed to see if they could love me without needing me to fix their lives. When I hung up, my hands were shaking. Change always comes with fear, but it also comes with truth. And the truth was this. I had finally chosen myself. Whether they could accept that was something only time would tell. I didn't know how long I sat on the edge of the small bed in that coastal town in the morning. I realized the weight I had carried for decades. The sun streamed through the window in soft golden slants, illuminating dust motes dancing lazily in the air. For the first time in years, I felt no obligations pressing on my chest. No schedules, no bills, no expectations. Just silence. Just me. I made tea and sat near the window, watching the waves move gently across the horizon. The ocean has a way of making you feel both small and infinite at the same time. It reminded me of my life back home, the years I had given to my children, the countless nights I had stayed awake worrying about their futures, their happiness, their mistakes. Everything I did had been for them, and yet here I was, finally seeing that perhaps some lessons of love could only be learned in absence. When I opened my phone that morning, there were several messages from Emily and Daniel. At first, I almost ignored them. I almost told myself they had had their chance and that I would respond when I felt ready. But something inside me nudged forward. I opened the first message. Mom, we miss you. We're sorry. Please call when you can. The words were simple, honest, unlike the polite excuses they had given on Mother's Day. I could feel the rawness behind them, the guilt, the worry, the realization that life had moved forward, but they had not paused to appreciate the one who had always been there. I let the tears come quietly, as I often did when emotions felt too big for words. I called back. Hi, Emily's voice came, soft, almost breaking. Hi, I replied. There was a pause. Long enough for me to think about everything, years, decades, moments small and large that had led to this point. Finally, Emily spoke. Mom, I'm so sorry. We didn't realize. We assumed you'd always be there. I swallowed hard. The lump in my throat had been there for years, tightening with every I need you and every ignored call. Every time they asked for help without noticing the weight I carried. I know, I said. I was always here. That's the problem. Silence followed. And in that silence, I felt their confusion, their guilt, their dawning understanding. Daniel spoke next. Mom, I didn't know. I know, I repeated. You didn't, and now you do. I didn't want to lecture. I didn't want to scold. I wanted them to understand through feeling, not through my words. I wanted them to see what it was like to have me not there, even for a little while. The next few days passed slowly. I walked along the beach at dawn. I watched the gulls dive for fish and the waves roll in and out. I visited a small cafe near the harbor, where the barista learned my name and greeted me warmly. I sat for hours reading old letters I had written to Robert, to Emily, to Daniel when they were young, letters I had tucked away, sometimes never sent. Each one was a reminder of my love, my care, my patience, my constant presence, and in each letter, I saw the pattern that had repeated itself in our family life, me giving, them taking, me waiting, them leaving, me understanding, them assuming. It was not anger I felt, not bitterness, just an aching sadness that I had hidden behind smiles and open arms for decades. Then, one morning, as the sun rose soft and gold over the water, my phone rang. It was Daniel. Mom, can we visit? He asked, his voice hesitant. I paused. I thought about all the weeks I had spent alone, learning what it felt like to care for myself. I thought about how empty the living room at home had been, how quiet the kitchen, how cold the plates of food. I thought about the tears I had cried, not out of anger, but out of loneliness, disappointment, and love. Yes, I said softly. But you need to understand, things will be different now. There was silence on the line. Then Daniel nodded, though I couldn't see him. We do, Mom, we promise. When they arrived, I met them at the little rental house I had taken by the sea. Oliver ran ahead, laughing, and threw himself into my arms. Emily and Daniel followed, their faces marked with tension, guilt, and something like hope. We sat together in the small living room. I had prepared a simple lunch, nothing extravagant. Sandwiches, fruit, tea, nothing that needed my constant attention. The silence was easy at first, filled only by the hum of the refrigerator and Oliver's occasional chatter. Finally, Emily spoke. Mom, we need to talk. Not just about money, not just about brunch. About US. About how we treated you. I nodded. I'm listening. Daniel added, we didn't see you. Not really. Not the way we should have. And we took a lot for granted. I looked at them, really looked, and saw their eyes. Not defensive. Not demanding. Not casual. Just open, vulnerable. I know, I said. I've always known. And I've always given. That's who I am. But giving without boundaries, it doesn't teach anyone anything. It just becomes expected. And that's not love. That's habit. They absorb that. The pause after my words was long, and it felt heavy in the best way, the kind of weight that brings clarity. Emily reached for my hand. Mom, we want to do better. Not just for us, but for you. For our family. I squeezed her hand softly. It's not about doing better for me, I said. It's about learning what love really is. It's about noticing, caring, and sharing, not expecting. And understanding that even a mother can walk away sometimes to teach the lesson that her presence is precious. Daniel nodded, tears in his eyes. We understand now. We're sorry for taking so much, for not being there when it mattered to you. I let the words settle, as I often did when I wanted a lesson to sink in without arguing. We spent the afternoon together quietly. Oliver played by the window. Emily and Daniel helped clean up the small kitchen. I listened to them talk about plans for the future, about struggles, about hopes. And I realized something had shifted. The house was still small, still quiet in many ways, but it felt alive in a way it hadn't for decades. Not because of me giving, not because of me solving problems, but because we were connecting differently, respectfully, carefully, mindfully. As evening fell, we stepped outside. The sun dipped into the horizon, painting the sky in pink and orange and purple. The air smelled of salt and seaweed and possibility. We stood together silently, Oliver holding my hand, Emily resting her head briefly on my shoulder, Daniel beside us. And in that moment, I understood the truth I had felt all along but had never voiced. Love is not measured by how much you give. It is measured by how you hold space, by how you allow others to see you, by how you teach them the weight of your absence as much as the warmth of your presence. That night, they left. We hugged at the doorway, longer than usual. This time, it wasn't perfunctory. It wasn't casual. It was full of recognition, understanding, and unspoken promises. Later, I stood alone in the quiet house, sipping tea by the window. I looked out at the ocean again, the waves rolling endlessly, and felt the full circle of my life settle gently around me. I realized I had changed too. I had learned to choose myself without guilt, to love without sacrificing my own peace, to give without losing my dignity, and to allow my children to learn, slowly and painfully, what it means to respect and cherish the person who gave them life. I whispered softly, to no one but myself, it's okay to be brave. It's okay to leave. And it's okay to return only when love is real. From that day on, our family was different. Not perfect, not without mistakes, but richer, more aware, more tender, more human. I finally understood that Mother's Day, or any day, was never about the gifts or the visits or the eggs and pancakes. It is about recognition, presence, and the quiet courage to stand for yourself while still loving those you hold most dear. I spent many evenings walking along the water after that, letting the waves remind me that life moves endlessly, and that letting go sometimes allows the people you love and yourself to find their way back. And in the end, that lesson was worth every tear, every lonely afternoon, every moment I felt invisible, because love is not in what you give. It is in what you teach. And the greatest lesson I could give my children was that their mother, Margaret Wilson, had finally learned to see herself as worth knowing.